The following program is paid for and presented by John DeMasi. The opinions expressed are not those of Town Square Media or station advertisers.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Well, if you thought you were going to go out like it was yesterday and it was warm, well, guess what? It is cold. I wore the winter jacket this morning. Boy, I tell you, the weather doesn't know what it wants to do, but we'll deal with it. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Talk with a Purpose. Every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Good to have you with us, as always, for our Saturday morning get-together. Grab your coffee and get set. We got a lot to talk about here. 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. Before I get into the show, just wanted to thank Seth Grossman for inviting me to his 75th birthday party. And I shouldn't talk because I'm right behind him. One more year and I'm there. But it was very nice. Met a lot of good people and a lot of people who listen to the show. And it was nice to put a face to the name and so on and so forth, and sat with a rabbi, so I got holy. Oh, it's really, it was all good. And I do thank him, and we'll mention when he comes on a bit later on in the show. This past Thursday, was a significant day. And you're probably wondering why. And I've always wanted to come on and talk about this because it bothered me then, it bothered me throughout the years, and it bothers me now. Thursday marked the death of former NFL star, former actor, former famous person, O.J. Simpson. Yeah. He finally succumbed. And I always wanted to say this, but this is the only time I probably will. I'm glad he died. I am glad. Because he finally got what he gave to those other two people. Justice. And it's just very strange when I say that, but I do mean that. He gets to feel what he did to those two other people. And I'm talking about Ron Goldman and his former wife, Nicole Brown Simpson. There was a lot of irony in the O.J. Simpson trial, which you remember, the trial of the century. And I mean, everywhere you went, it was on. All people talked about. I mean, it just dominated the news for probably a year. And I had read a book when the trial was on, and it said that O.J. Simpson, and this is true, he wanted to be white, and all his friends were white. And his second wife was white. And after that, when she passed away, he dated white women all the time. So the irony of this trial of the century was that his attorney, Johnny Cochran, used the race card to get him off. And it worked. And I never saw race as an issue at all. Oh, yeah, they caught the one detective. They said, he said the N-word. Okay, well, whatever. And the L.A. police were racist. Okay. But a man killed two people. Doesn't matter whether he was black or white, and it's always making race out of something that isn't race. The big deal that they made about the N-word But O.J. Simpson was smart, or his attorney was smart. When it was expedient, when it was advantageous, he chose to be black. But every other time, he wanted to be white. And I never, ever understood what the big deal was, why they made this. Well, yeah, I understand because he got him off. But O.J. Simpson simply killed two people in a savage manner. And nobody but the Goldman family suffered. They had to look at that monster every day. And then, to add insult to injury, they sued in civil court, and they won a judgment for $33 million. Now, here's the rub. His income was protected because it was an NFL pension. He was getting like $33,000 a month. Protected because it's a pension. So that's out. To this day, the Goldman family has gotten zero. And now with interest accrued, I guess with 30 years of interest, the judgment is up to $100 million. You think they'll ever see that? Sure. Right. When donkeys fly, that's when they'll see it. But, and I digress for a minute. In 1968, when O.J. Simpson was coming out of college, the Philadelphia Eagles were an awful football team, and so were the Buffalo Bills. So it was a race. Whoever had the worst record was going to draft O.J. Simpson. And me and my friends, oh, man, we're going to have O.J. Simpson here. Well, of course, the last two games, the Eagles won, and Buffalo got him. So, but I digress. The trial of the century, to me, was the worst case of justice not being done. And all because Johnny Cochran made it about race, which it wasn't. It just, I mean, it bothered me then, and it bothers me now. It just does. And I don't know if you feel that way. Certainly we'll take your comments and thoughts throughout the course of the program, but he finally got his just due. I wonder if they'll meet up there, huh? Well, he's not going to heaven, that's for sure. But, and Ron Goldman, the poor kid, I mean, he was a bartender. And he was 25 years old. He had his whole life ahead of him. And nothing. And every day I saw that family and I felt so bad for them. It just mind-blowing. But I will say this. O.J. Simpson finally got justice. And I'm glad that he is no longer with us. 609-407-1450. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays, 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We bring in the one, the only. And again, happy birthday, Seth. And thanks for inviting me. Had a good time and met a lot of nice people there.
Well, thank you very much. And I know I'm going to wander off this morning. So whatever I don't get to, please look it up at libertyandprosperity.com, because that has all the topics that I should be talking about this morning. But I'm not, because I turned 75 and I had a chance to reflect on why for the past 21 years of my life I've been obsessed with libertyandprosperity.com and talking about Western civilization. And this has really been my passion. Because when you talk about what O.J. did, that blatant murder, and when you heard the top of the news, somebody just stabbed 5 random people and killed them. I guess it was in New Zealand. And you read the paper every day in Philadelphia. They have a celebration. And what was the term they used? They said a faction of young people started shooting at another faction of people in West Philadelphia a couple of days ago. So what's going on? But what's going on is this is the way normal human beings behave if we don't have civilization, if we don't have Judaism, Christianity, if we don't have a Bible. Because we have the same DNA, we have the same genetic makeup as the cavemen who learned how to start a fire, who hunted woolly mammoths, who got attacked by saber-toothed tigers at the end of the Ice Age 10,000 years ago. We humans were smarter than other animals. We could solve problems. We can be kind and compassionate. We can work with others to have a safer and more comfortable life. But we could also be cruel, jealous, dishonest, violent, and sadistic. So how do humans make our lives better? Well, for thousands of years, we made our lives better by the older people sitting around the campfire and telling the young folks, well, you may feel like doing this, but you can't do what you feel like doing, because if you do, all these bad things are going to happen. And that became more involved 7,000 years ago when they invented writing in Egypt and Babylonia. So not just telling stories at the campfire, but you'd have people writing about experiences for hundreds and thousands of years. So instead of making the same mistakes people made, we're learning from them. And then about 5,000 years ago, the Hebrews or Jews came along, and really they traveled back and forth between Egypt and Babylonia, and they wrote down the best wisdom of both civilizations and put them in this collection of books that we now know as the Bible. And that means we all follow the same rules. We all live in peace with each other. And even though you may be angry, you may be jealous, you may have all these feelings to take something from somebody else, you're taught since childhood, love your neighbor as yourself. Take one day off every week to reflect on your life. Don't murder, don't steal, don't mess with somebody else's spouse. Don't lie. Don't be jealous of what other people have. And that was the basis of this Hebrew civilization. And then about 2,300 years ago, the Bible and the Jews and this morality got together with the Greeks and the Romans, and we combined the logic and science of that world with the morality of the Bible. And that gave us Christianity, modern Judaism, and Greek and Roman and Western civilization. And that gave us a better life in Europe, North Africa, the Middle East, and India. Now, of course, disaster happened in the year 622. That was just 1,400 years ago. That was when a radical warrior in this backward section of Arabia declared a holy war on everybody else. And that holy war said it was okay to kill, rob, rape, and enslave anybody if they didn't embrace your religion. And in just 75 years, those Arabs wiped out the Persian Empire, most of the Christian world, most of the Greek Empire, and the Roman Empire. But yet Christianity survived, stopped the invasion, saved France, reconquered Spain, protected Christian minorities in the Middle East with the Crusades. Then we had the advance that we enjoy today. In Europe, they invented the printing press. So instead of just the very wealthy being able to read and get that accumulated knowledge, everybody could do it. And then learning, science advanced. Europe came to America and got new wealth. And then in 1776, the United States of America was created. And that was with that Declaration of Independence that we're all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We have a Constitution. We have more freedom, justice, wealth, and peace than any civilization in world history. But then another setback. There was another revolution in France, and that gave us most of the problems we have today. The American Revolution was based on the Bible, the Ten Commandments, and the ideas of Benjamin Franklin. And that idea is that if you have a problem in your life, if there's something that you want that you don't have, the way to fix it is to be free and given opportunities to work hard, use your talent, make your life better. because when everybody works hard to make their own life more productive, everybody has more wealth, everybody's more happy, and everybody's safe. But the French Revolution started an idea that was just the opposite. It was based on the idea that if most people are too poor, it's because few people were too rich. And so the basic idea of the French Revolution was for poor people to kill rich people, steal their stuff, and call it social justice. And the French Revolution started by killing aristocrats and stealing their stuff. And then it morphed into communism and socialism that said poor people should take what they want from rich farmers and business owners. And that led to National Socialism or Nazism, which said anybody could take what they want from Jews. And that's related to Black Lives Matter with the reparations. Well, you know, if some people are privileged, just take their stuff because you're entitled to it. And that's where we are today. So thanks for letting me go down memory lane there. But, you know, when you talk about the problems that we have today, almost every problem we have today is rooted in that history that we either go with a civilized Judeo-Christian life based on everybody follows the same rules, everybody has the same opportunity, and if you want something, you create and build it and produce for yourself, as opposed to the other way of looking at things, where if you don't have what you want, you blame somebody else, and you come up with a good reason to take it, either by killing them, threatening them, bullying them, or using politics to get more votes than they have, and then take their stuff legally. So that's the battle that's going on today, and I think every now and then we ought to think of the basics of what's behind what's going on.
Well, you said it very well.
Except now we have a new problem, and that's this Wahhabi version of Islam. Because after the Crusades, Europe advanced with science and education, the Islamic world started to become moderate. They started to say, we could live with these Christians. We just want a better life for everybody. But every time you would have these radical jihadists would go to war, they'd get clobbered because the Europeans had the modern weapons. But all of that changed after World War I, when something made Islam radical and dangerous again. And that was when Europeans were fighting with each other during World War I. Each of the European powers gave their most modern weapons and military training to these radical Islamists. The British trained the Muslims of India and Pakistan. The French trained the Muslims in Algeria and North Africa. The Germans trained the Muslims of Turkey. And the communists of Russia, in that scene from that movie I keep talking about, Reds in 1920, trained the Muslims of Afghanistan. Then you had oil discovered in Arabia, and what used to be a fringe, radical, marginal group of just dangerous, violent, intolerant people, suddenly they had oil, money, and the most modern weapons in the world, and that is what's making things so dangerous for us. So we have to recognize that. And again, at my birthday party Saturday, you know, everybody noticed it, that I used to be just a normal, quiet lawyer, and suddenly I became obsessed with liberty and prosperity. So I thought I'd give the reason why, because we're on the verge of losing everything for our kids, our grandkids, everything about America, if we don't see what's at stake and do more to preserve our rich Judeo-Christian and American heritage.
Well, what can we do? That's a good question. What can we do?
Well, the thing is, and that's where I almost get inspired by some of these movies. I saw Space Cowboys a week ago, and you know, that's where the old, aging, over-the-hill astronauts end up saving the world. Or remember the Magnificent Seven, where the old, washed-up gunslingers save the village. So really, it's up to us baby boomers, because our young people, one of the reasons that they're unable to, I guess, defend our country is they don't know how great this country was. But those boomers, we know how great it was because we lived through it. And at my party, when I thought of this, I was watching the home movies of, my parents when you had doctors and dentists and all these professionals didn't live in fancy houses in the suburbs. We lived in the neighborhoods where the patients were, and we lived on top of the office. We were all part of one country. But what we've got to do, we've got to talk to our own children and tell them what we had, so they will know how important it is to vote. And instead of voting, well, this politician is going to give me more money by taking something away from somebody else. We got to get back to the basics and really start getting involved. And when I say get involved, I mean doing more than just voting. I mean, you have to take the time to know who's in politics for the wrong reasons. And, what we do is we tend to be lazy. We say, well, all politicians are crooks, so I'm not going to get involved. So if all politicians are crooks, and you're not going to get involved, then nobody's going to go into politics instead of a crook. So you have to get involved, and you have to pay attention. And when I say pay attention, think of the sacrifices that our parents made in World War II. Going out 3-4 years, getting yourself killed. And now we have people won't even write a $10 contribution to a candidate, won't even sign a petition to help someone to get on the ballot, won't be a candidate, won't talk to their children because they're afraid their children will get mad at me. So I think the first step is to understand the danger, and then to take more time to come to a Liberty and Prosperity meeting, to go to our website, to sign up for our email update and find out what the real issues are and not the fake issues. So that's the best I could say. Okay.
Well, we should follow that. Definitely.
I hope so. And it's even another interesting thing in what issue, because we're talking about these superficial issues. And I actually just thought of one thing. You listen to the radio. A lot of us listen to Dave Ramsey. And what's Dave Ramsey's slogan? He says over and over again. He says, if you want to straighten out your own life, get out of debt.
That's right.
What Americans learned that no one else in the world learned before the Americans did. You see, the Europeans always had this idea that government and politics was a special art of what they called statecraft, and that only experts in government could understand how to run government. It was the Americans who understood that government is just a collection of people, just like a business, just like a family, just like a church or synagogue, like any other group of people. And the same rules that apply to your ordinary life apply to government. And think of that. If the most important thing in your personal life is to get out of debt, why do we tolerate having our government go into debt? Because it means all the things that ruin families and ruin businesses and ruin organizations, when they go into debt, when they can't pay their bills, when they do things without thinking of how they're going to get paid. I'd say that's the first basic thing to look at. And you see these stories in the local paper, the Ocean City Sentinel. Taxes went up, and property taxes went up in Ocean City. They're going up in Summers Point. They're going up in Upper Township. The federal government's in debt. Gold is now at $2,300 an ounce. Silver is at $28 an ounce. Our money's no good because of all this debt. So I would say that I would focus on which politicians are talking about cutting down the debt, either by spending less money, paying everybody 50 cents in a dollar like we do with a personal bankruptcy. But I would say that debt is the bottom line, because that comes down to responsibility. When you promise to give people free stuff and you're not going to pay for it, make somebody else pay for it, or pretend someone else is going to pay for it by making the money worth nothing, that's probably the best issue to start. So on that cheerful note, let me invite anyone who wants to talk more about it, libertyandprosperity.com. We're online. Subscribe to our email update. Please donate some money to us so we can keep these messages on the radio. And any Saturday morning, 9:30 to 10:30, at Sal's Cafe, Route 9 and Groveland Avenue in Summers Point. All you got to do is order your own breakfast and tip the server to pay for your own breakfast. And I'm late, so thank you very much. And it was so good seeing you at my birthday party, and it was just so nice bringing all these people together.
Yes, it was.
Reflect on what happened in the past.
Yes, it was. Yes.
So thank you very much for being there.
Thank you, Seth, for inviting me. Seth Grossman, Liberty and Prosperity, the website libertyandprosperity.com. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We'll get started with the calls. John, Bob, Greg, and maybe you at 609-407-1450. We'll get started after these words.
The finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere? Check. Award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets? Check. Baked goods and prepared foods? Check. They check all the boxes. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And that's not all. Gourmet items, specialty foods, and catering for all occasions. It's all right there. Check them out online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
And we are back here on Talk with a Purpose. Again, 609-407-1450. Let's get started. John in Ocean City. John, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Yes, good morning. I was hoping that O.J. Simpson would have left a letter of guilt behind, a confession letter, that being, yes, I did it. Yours truly, Orenthal James Simpson. See ya. Not quite. Oh, man. I want to bring up this past April 8th total solar eclipse. It spanned 5,584 miles from the northwest coast of a coastal city of Mexico over our 49th parallel into Nova Scotia. There were 13 American states that were in that path of totality. They got to experience the full effects of total solar eclipse. And if you go to the YouTube search engine, just type in Indianapolis went dark, and I saw it. It wasn't dusk. It actually became like 8 o'clock at nighttime dark. Because, you know, when the sun sets at 7:30, it doesn't just automatically become dark. You have dusk, and by 8 o'clock, it's nightfall. Now, there's 2 solar eclipses that are standout, total solar eclipses that are standout. The first one was August 22nd, 1142 A.D., and the other one was June 28th, 1451 A.D., and it didn't just become dark, it became pitch dark. Now, the people in Indianapolis experienced the nightfall, virtual nightfall, but actually dark. It went dark like nighttime during the daylight hours of between 2 and 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. They experienced a total solar eclipse, but the 1451 was pitch black, and the other one was that was 4 minutes and 23 seconds, and the one on the 22nd of August, 1142 A.D. It said more than several minutes. I've heard between 18 and 13 minutes. But no matter whether it was 4 minutes or less than 15 minutes makes no difference. But the Iroquois Constitution was born on either one of those total solar eclipses. It was a Dianawida of the Onondaga tribe. He was an Onondaga medicine man, and he sat underneath a white pine tree in Cohoes Fall, because the eclipses are actually localized, so he actually got to see, he actually experienced, rather, there is a spiritual dimension to it, because he left his physical sheath behind. Your physical material sheath is your outward body. Your soul is your subtle sheath, which is the real you, by the by, and we all have the spirit of life. So, yeah, he entered into timelessness, and he saw, in his vision, he saw white people and black people on North America. Now, Indians are not really red; they're copper colored, like brown with a red hue. So he saw people that were completely different from his own, and that's pretty far out. And now, his constitution was verbal, but it was translated onto wampum belts. Now, there's 6 tribes of the Iroquois Nation, 6 sub-tribes rather. That's Mohawk, Onondaga, Oneida, Tuscarora, Cayuga, and Seneca, and they were at war with each other. They became a bully tribe, the tribes surrounding them. But it became infighting, and he had to come up with the Guyanaskua, the Great Law of Peace, and they would congregate at Cohoes Fall in upstate New York, and he was trying to get their attention, and they wouldn't listen to him, so he climbed the tallest pine tree along Cohoes Fall, and said, "You'll give a listen to me now. I have our solution." And they laughed at him, and they said, some Mohawk Braves laughed at him and said, "Our young Braves climb these trees all summer long. So you're a medicine man that can climb a tree. So what? Big deal." He said, "Chop this tree down, and if I survive, you'll listen with pleasure." And remember, these are people that built huge longhouses that could actually withstand blizzards, so they know how to cut down trees, okay? But the tree fell into the Cohoes Fall, and they couldn't find him, so they thought, well, he broke his neck on the Rocky Falls, or he was crushed under the pine timber. They couldn't find his body. The next morning, he was warming his hands over a fire, and they said, "This dude's got medicine. Let's give him a lesson." It was of significant inspiration to James Madison, who wrote about 90% of our Constitution. And that's 117 articles of the Confederation, because he translated it onto wampum belts, which have embroidered sign language on it, because they have differences of language. The same way a Frenchman can't understand an Italian, can't understand a Swede, or whatever. But it's really our 100th Congress on the bicentennial of our ratification of our beloved Constitution and Bill of Rights in 1988, because it was 1989, which was the bicentennial. They expressed a debt of gratitude to the Iroquois contribution to our Constitution. So the Constitution, man, it's made for us. It's made for us. Socialism. It ain't going to work. Socialism is we tell you what to do. And what's identical between the Guyanasko, a great law of peace, and our beloved Constitution, it's volitional. You have to use free will. See, freedom. It's all about freedom. How to set up laws without trampling upon people's liberties. So that's what we're up against here. We're up against a bunch of socialist, communist, I was going to cuss, no, ass clowns that want to impose on us a tyranny. And it is time to wake up. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the call, John. Well, he almost did, but he didn't. Bob and Cape May. Bob, good morning. Welcome.
Hey, John. Look, you mentioned O.J. Simpson, and the definitive book, if you really want to know the truth about what happened there, get all the information, is Mark Fuhrman's Murder in Brentwood.
Yeah.
And the people that really dropped the ball on that. Now, look, it was jury nullification. I'm not even sure that a competent prosecutor and lead detectives would have gotten Simpson nailed. Not 100% sure about that. But, well, you know what? I take that back, John, because in Fuhrman's book, there was a key piece of evidence that the responding officer pointed out to Fuhrman. Fuhrman put it in his these were contemporaneous notes that the detective takes notes. There was blood, a blood print on the back gate, which had to be O.J. Simpson's blood print. Fuhrman pointed that out to Van Adder and Lang. Van Adder was a lead detective, right? He pointed that out to him. Van Adder never collected that print, right? And that even that jury, had that been collected, would have probably nailed O.J. Simpson. Probably.
Yeah.
Now, no, and what happened with that print, you see, when Simpson got released, that house was scrubbed clean, all right? And that print disappeared. They went back for it. The police went back for it, but it was like 2 weeks later. It was gone.
Yeah.
And there was other very, very incriminating evidence that the police never, again, it was Van Adder and Lang. Those two lead detectives dropped the ball horribly. Simpson had bloody clothes in his either in his washing machine or in his dryer. They never took that. Okay. And again, there was all sorts of evidence in Simpson's house, but they didn't go through his house until a week or two later, after Simpson was released, had time to clean the evidence, get rid of the evidence. So, again, it's a shame, that this murderer got away with it, that he lived essentially, except for the time in Nevada where he went to jail on another crime. It's a shame he had 30-plus years of a good life.
Yeah, that's right.
He was playing golf here in Florida, enjoying himself. The Goldman family never collected money on that civil suit.
No, they didn't. No.
Never did. And again, it was, I remember, I'm sure you remember the trial. I was at Yosemite National Park. I was in the bar of the Iwani Hotel, just one of the most beautiful places on earth. I remember watching the verdict come in, Pacific time. It was about 4:30 or so. And, it was all along racial lines.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's the blacks in this country absolutely thought he was innocent.
Yeah.
They believed the poison. Now, the other thing that we got to mention here is Judge Ito was married to a LAPD female captain who had it in for Mark Furman. She hated Mark Furman.
Oh, okay.
So Ito allowed the defense to use that irrelevant evidence of Furman using the N-word years before. Yeah. Does that impeach everything you do because you said the N-word at anger at an individual?
Yeah, that's right.
Does that make you a racist?
Yeah,
does that make you? And the penalty for a policeman to plant evidence in a capital case, what that was in California at that time? The penalty was a death penalty.
Oh.
If you were a cop and you planted evidence and were convicted, it was the death penalty.
Wow. Whoa.
Right? So you think a guy like and Furman, look, in years after that case, Furman, we got to know him. He was a contributor on Fox News. He wrote many books that were brilliant in many ways.
Yeah.
One was Murder in Greenwich. It was the Kennedy relative scapegoat.
I read that.
Killed that young girl. Remember that?
I remember that.
Excellent book.
It was. It really was. Yeah.
Yeah. But Furman, number one, he didn't come off to me he didn't come off to me as ever being a racist. He may have said the N-word, but so, I mean, that, and look, we try not to use it. I try not to use that word at all. I think it's hurtful. I think it's wrong. It's unchristian. But, 30, 40 years ago, things were different in this country. And it didn't make you a vile, horrible racist if you used that word once or twice. It just doesn't make you that.
No, it doesn't. But yeah, it just, I mean, really, when you think about it, Johnny Cochran really didn't have a defense, but he came up with one, and it was brilliant. I mean, really, because what else could he have said about it? Yeah.
Right. The racist cop planted the evidence, and then, the glove, because it was saturated in blood, shrunk, and Simpson did his best. Good for Simpson. Smart move on Simpson's part to make it seem like that glove didn't fit. And it probably didn't because it shrunk. And the prosecutors, Marcia Clark, she should not have. They attempted to make Simpson put the glove on. It was Marcia Clark that blew up in her face.
That was a bad move.
They should have tested that on someone's hand, the size of Simpson's hand.
Yeah,
you don't just go into court like that and and get torpedoed. That killed it there. Remember, Johnny Cochran said, "If it doesn't quit, if it doesn't fit, you have to acquit."
Yeah, that was a great line.
A real poet,
Yeah, he was. Bob, thank you for the call. We appreciate it. Yeah, we could talk about this forever. 609-407-1450. We will talk to, after the break, we'll talk to Greg, and we'll talk to Dan, and maybe we'll talk to you at 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Good to have you with us, and we'll get back to more of our conversation. But first, we got to talk about, you know what we talk about, the good stuff. B.F. Mazzio, the finest fresh fruit and produce you will find anywhere. And it's all right there at B.F. Mazzio. Not only that, but there are prepared foods, there's baked goods, there's gift baskets, fruit baskets, you name it, it's there. Gourmet items, gourmet specialty items, it's all right there at B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And, you know, Mother's Day is coming up. Geez, all these holidays, they sneak up. You know, Mother's Day coming up in May. And, you know, one of the things that I always got my mother, and I've told you this before, these fruit flowers, and it's a beautiful arrangement of fruit. It looks like flowers, but it's fruit, and you can eat them. And it's just a wonderful additional gift for Mom for Mother's Day. And it's all right there at B.F. Mazzio. B.F. Mazzio, again, 601 New Road, Northfield, and online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. And yes, you can order catering, you can order other things online, but you want to go in the store because to experience all of the things they have, it's really a great experience. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield, and online at bfmazzio.com. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. For today, windy with episodes of sunshine with a high of 63. For tonight, breezy this evening, otherwise clear with a low of 44. For tomorrow, breezy and warmer with sun followed by increasing clouds with a high of 74. For tomorrow night, mostly cloudy with a thunderstorm in spots, low 58. I'm AccuWeather's Caitlin Lawrence on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose. If you would like to email me during the week, you can. My email address, jdadv1@comcast.net. jdadv1@comcast.net. Email me anything you like, program suggestions, pro or comments, whatever. We take them all on. jdadv1@comcast.net. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Let's talk to Greg in Absecon. And Greg, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Mr. DeMasi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
The Simpson trial. One thing that did not come up about the gloves, Simpson had arthritis. All they had to do was take him off meds. He would swell up. Those gloves would never have fitted.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
Two other things very quickly. The police that are working in the cities that they take a perk in, before the report is done, they're back out in the street. Stop taking them in. Handcuff them to a pole where it's taking place and leave them. Just wish them a happy day and go on your way and do your job. One or two people attached to poles, not too important. They get up into the 30s, 40s, and 50s, then they start to realize they have a serious problem that they have to address. and then they can start to correct what's happening when they get back to the precinct.
That's interesting. That's an interesting take on it.
Well, it's a way of solving it and making it very obvious.
Yeah.
The other thing, the situation between the House and the Senate and bills that are created in the Senate sent back to the House. It's always a battle taking place and nothing gets accomplished. Take the bill you receive, break it down into 3 bills, mark it year 1, 2, and 3. Send it back to Mr. Schumer and tell him that's the best we can do. Approve number 1, send it back, we'll get it through. The other 2 we can discuss. But we have 2 years to read them.
Yeah.
Solves the problem.
Yeah.
The immediate bill they can take care of. There's 3 countries looking for some relief. The U.S. to get their border sealed, Ukraine to beat off the Russians, Israel to beat off the barbarians. Send them the money. Stop playing games. Give them the assistance to do the job. We keep playing with them. It's insane.
Yeah, that's true. It's every war that we've been involved in the last 30 years. Yeah,
we're never going to win them.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we go in there and I thought we would try to win, but we don't try to win. We just
then we ask for timeouts.
Yeah.
when the hell do you ever ask for a timeout?
Yeah, what is it? A football game? You know,
exactly.
I mean,
have a good one.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for the call. Dan in Linwood. Dan, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Well, first and foremost, happy birthday to Seth, and thank him very much. He mentioned Wahhabi, and I got another $20, and that was a good start to the morning. Thank you, Seth. And this Van Adder business, the chief of detectives, what he and the other fellow did is they put the evidence in the trunk. Usually on a scene like that, the lab guys take it right to the lab.
Yeah.
They don't leave it with the cops. And when they had this, I guess they try to, the speculation is the bloody sock. And there was blood on the bloody sock. So F. Lee Bailey, naturally, they got the best forensic pathologist around. They analyzed the blood. So they analyzed the blood, and guess what comes up? The blood is, of course, incriminating, but there's a chemical in it that can only come from a vial. So it looks like the vial was dumped on the glove, basically, on the sock, because the chemical can't appear like that. It has to come from a vial.
They sure botched the whole thing. The L.A. police. They botched it from Jump Street. I mean, everything.
Never, the first rule is never give the evidence to the defense. Never let them hold the evidence. And that the rule in the court in California is that the jury could have been excused while that was done. The jury never would have saw it. If Clark and the other fellow were sharp enough to know, but they weren't sharp. They were going against F. Lee Bailey. They were going against Kardashian. They were going against. They call it a dream team for a reason. Cochran and
Shapiro,
and the constitutional lawyer from who's always on Fox, the older guy, and that was a team that it's tough to beat. And as guilty as that guy was, but just to let everybody know and don't forget, he went to Nevada. He committed a crime. He spent 9 years in jail. Yeah.
He got his justice eventually, didn't he?
That was a good stretch in there. And my point's coming up about this, with the way Biden handled a press conference with the Japanese leader. He came out, and there were specific people he called upon.
Yes.
He had the questions, and not only that, of course, again, he had the answers, because
sure.
The way they figured it out was the reflection in his aviators that he put on. They were able to just reverse that with the computer, and they actually read the answers. That's how sharp it is in today's world.
Oh, I tell you. Well, I'm not surprised at that. Are you surprised? I'm not.
No, he's a bad. Well, you could tell he was reading everything, and the Japanese guy was he was contemporaneous, and he was glib, and everything else that went. And but Biden was basically a stiff. He was reading. He was calling on people. Oh, let me see who I should call on. Oh, A&P. No, A&P's a supermarket. Associated Press, Joe. Come on, get in the game. All right. So, and then Trump at Chick-fil-A was fantastic when he went down there, and the workers were hugging him, and the customers, they were just. You got to look at Trump. He funded the historical black colleges for permanently.
Yeah.
They used to have come hat in hand every year and beg for money. Trump says, forget that. He says, you guys are good.
And yet they call him a racist.
Yeah,
I read another article this week. Trump, Trump is a racist.
Well, Trump got the Ellis Island Award, and it was handed to him by Rosa Parks, and with Muhammad Ali on his other shoulder. Trump was anything but a racist. He was a liberal back in the day. He was a Democrat, just like Reagan was. But you know the old saying: if you're 20 and you're a conservative, you have no heart. But if you're 40 and you're a liberal, you have no brains.
Yeah, that's right. Dan, thanks for the call. That's a good one. Oh, Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We are also heard on 1450 AM and always online at WPGTalkRadio.com. Those are the ways you can listen, a variety of ways. Let's talk to Lance in Galloway. Lance, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Hey, gracious good morning, Mr. Tomasi.
Thank you.
Always hear the call-ins that you get because most of them are very well read. They have a lot of, you don't have to fact check them. I mean, there are opinions and I guess rumors that could be filtered through. But a lot of these things, I mean, it's like selecting the proper hammer to hit the right nail in the right place. And kudos to you and your listeners.
Thank you.
Number one.
Thank you.
Number two, it's the stockades. I mean, that's a very. They actually tried to bring back stockades in 2012, and because some people were just so sick and tired of the same people. I mean, doing the same wrong thing. I mean, there was a case where a woman tried to pass a school bus and drove up on the sidewalk. So, I mean, that's an idiot and it's someone that's desperate to do something. But to be able to see that person and be humiliated and everybody knows it, you'd have to have, again, knowing our society today and social media, that people would be out there like the American Civil Liberties Union fighting for the wrong purpose. And not to mock your show, purpose, purpose
I know.
is your common denominator. As a former educator, when students would ask me, can I go to the bathroom? You write a pass. And there were so many people out in the halls that they put only 2 passes per mark, 2 per class. So whenever I would do a pass, I would say, do me a favor, walk with a purpose. So I think your show, I don't know whether I was this is 10 years ago. I don't know whether I was a precursor for your show or you were, I definitely know you weren't one of my students, so that's there. And the other thing is, the ABCs, it's absolute bona fide cronyism. How come former employees, Democrat and Republican, are all of a sudden getting these jobs assigned to a board or assigned to a board of directors or assigned to a position on CREDA or assigned with the ACUL or the ACUA? I mean, I just, when is enough and how many pensions do some of these people have to roll over?
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
You know what I mean? It's like, when do you stop feeding the most, I would say, comfortable? I mean, especially the fact that loyalty is really no longer existent in the world of in the world. I don't see anybody getting the 25 years of gold watch. I see them getting a popsicle stick and calling it a sundial. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, that's a move. So I don't know.
It's a problem, but I don't know that it's ever going to be solved. Because the people who appoint the people are in positions of power, and they just appoint their friends or associates or whatever. It's just a continual cycle, and I don't see it changing. I just don't. I don't know.
Maybe if they can, maybe they should do something similar to the time zones. They should change. No more time. Your time is yours. And I think, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's hope is something that should never be let out because it's a falsehood.
Yeah.
The only thing that is getting up in the morning, knowing what's expected of you, doing it to the best of your ability, going home, counting your blessings, and getting up and do it again. And if you could put the music on by Jackson Brown, The Pretender, you know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for the call, Lance. Appreciate it. 609-407-1450. We are rapidly coming to the end of hour number one. Boy, it flies, doesn't it? Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? 609-407-1450. That'll be our number when we start the 10 o'clock hour. A friend of mine sent me something, and this was a professor, Mark Lamont Hill. And my friend sent me this. O.J. Simpson was an abusive liar who abandoned his community long before he killed 2 people in cold blood. His acquittal for murder was the correct and necessary result of a racist criminal legal system. Mark Lamont Hill is black, by the way. And he closes the article by saying, but he's still a monster, not a martyr. Yeah, he was that's for sure. And also the blacks didn't believe he was innocent. They knew he was guilty, but they wanted him to get off because he was black. That doesn't make sense, but it does in this case. But imagine if that was a white guy who killed 2 black people. Oh, again, it would have been riots. But it is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Hour number one is rapidly coming to a close. In fact, it's in the books. And hour number 2 is on the way. More on Trump and Biden and a new CRDA director and all kinds of stuff coming up in the 10 o'clock hour. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 on the way. Don't go away.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 2, Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And as the man said, I'm John DeMasi. Good to have you with us. We'll get to the calls in just a moment. But a friend of mine sent me this, and I think it's worth mentioning anyway, that this is an author, Shari Goodman, and she wrote an article that said, Biden, it was you. And it really is, I mean, it is just, she starts off by saying, it was not President Trump who refused to enforce our immigration laws. It was you. It was not President Trump who opened our southern border. It was you. It was not President Trump who secretly and illegally flew 325,000 illegals from across the globe to cities across the U.S. at taxpayers' expense. It was you, Joe Biden. It was not President Trump who allowed CCP-affiliated military-age men to enter our collective home illegally. It was you. It was not President Trump who erased our energy independence by shutting down the Keystone Pipeline. It was you. And it goes on and on. And it's just so good at just pointing out the things that Biden did and didn't do. And yet, everywhere you go, here's a commercial on TV. Donald Trump, he doesn't trust women. He doesn't trust women. Or, the thing we were talking about last hour, Trump is a racist. I mean, these black columnists, it's automatic. You just say Trump is a racist. But yet there are things that he shows us that he's done in the past for black colleges and black people, et cetera. It's just amazing. But it continues, and it will continue until the election. We'll see. We're going to get into some other things, too, in this hour. Michael is in Egg Harbor City. Michael, good morning. You're on Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. You did it, Joe Biden. That was a good lead into my topic.
Yes.
I don't understand who's giving Joe Biden the advice that he should cancel college loans. Number one, he's disoriented those of us who did not go to college and were in the trades. Those who have gone to college, managed their degree correctly, paid their student loan off, and allowed corporations to subsidize any other degrees that they earn.
Yeah.
And it also proves that he has turned, or I don't want to say turned, he has solidified the Republican vote against him.
Yeah.
Because of that action, going against the Supreme Court of the United States of America. Now, whoever is giving that nitwit advice, I think he ought to fire it. Well, he doesn't have the ability to know what ends up.
Yeah.
To be giving him that advice, and we have numerous other issues that we have to stand back and scratch our heads and understand what the bottom line is for the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is, Michael, the bottom line is they're just trying to buy more votes, especially the younger people.
Right.
That's very obvious, buying votes because you're canceling student debt, and it's probably individuals in their 30s and maybe early 40s. I mean, and the cost of college today, these kids are going to be in debt till they're in their mid-40s. So,
yep.
And that's ridiculous. So he's just trying to buy votes. And you're right. The Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional. He has tried every which way. This is like the third time he's tried it. And
again, John, this is something that we, as hardworking Americans, have to understand. What the end goal for the Democratic Party is to turn this country into a socialist government,
yep,
which will eventually lead to communist enforcement. It has never worked.
No.
The societies that have tried this have failed miserably.
That's right.
And I'll close with this, John. With the Democrats leading their campaign on the abortion issue.
Yes.
I would like to point out one phrase in the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Right to life. It's written.
Yes.
We know when life begins. If abortion hadn't been legalized, we would have a population where we wouldn't need foreign immigrants coming to our country and having babies to continue the ability to service our works, our manufacturing industry.
Yep.
You have a good day, John.
You too. Thanks for the call. Paul and EHT. Paul, good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, John. I'd like to join the Old Timers Club. I'm currently 81. If God lets me live until June, I'll be 82.
Well, happy birthday early.
Now, let me say this. I live in an assisted living facility, okay, and to live here you have to have Medicaid, which means you have to be poor.
Right.
Now I could write Python programs, which Python is the programming language of choice for artificial intelligence, but I'm not allowed to work, okay, because if I work and I make more money, I have no home, okay? So that's crazy. Now, another thing I'd like to say is if I were black, I would hate the Democratic Party because do you know most of the babies that are aborted are black? Okay, there was a woman named Elizabeth Sanger who wanted to exterminate the black race. Okay, you can look that up, okay? And so if I were black, I would not vote Democratic, okay? Absolutely. So that's all I have to say. Have a good day.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks. You too. 609-407-1450 is the number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Michael brought up an interesting point. Hey, Frank, how are you? And it's a disturbing, I think it's a disturbing trend already here in the 2024 election cycle. And that is, once again, the emphasis both parties are placing on the abortion issue. Now, of course, the Democrats love it, but even the Republicans are focusing on abortion as an issue. Let's start with this. First of all, in Arizona, the state Supreme Court, you may have heard of this, said that an 1864 law virtually banning the procedure should be enforced. Under the decision, a long dormant law passed in 1864, which, by the way, predated Arizona's statehood, this would take effect. It allows abortions if a mother's life is in danger, but provides no exceptions for rape or incest. 1864. This is when it was passed. Enforcement can take effect in 14 days. And, of course, who do you think the Democrats blamed for this? Oh, you said Donald Trump? Of course. You're right. Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego, a Democrat, said, "The girls today and the young women do not have the rights that we once did because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is dangerous and reckless." Now, didn't Trump say, by the way, he said that this Arizona law that criminalizes all abortions goes too far. And he was asked Wednesday whether he would sign a national abortion ban if he was elected president again, and he said no. So how could you blame Trump on this? Boy, we'll continue down this line. I want to talk about this TV ad. Boy, was this, if you watched it and you didn't know anything, like if you came from Mars and you just watched this, you would think, my God, this Trump guy is horrible. And it shows a woman whose life was threatened and she almost died, and she got sepsis and a whole bunch of things, and all because she couldn't get the proper care because her state wouldn't allow abortions. It's really disturbing. We'll talk about that too. Frank is in Ventnor. Frank, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Hey, how you doing, John?
Good morning, Frank.
Hey, John, before I start, I just want to mention, have you heard the latest about the Golden Bachelor?
Oh, yeah. They're getting divorced 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah.
But they still love each other, and they're
Yeah,
open.
cool.
They're open to dating other people. What? This whole thing. I mean, if you were in love, as they say they still are, would you get divorced?
Well, they made their money, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely. But they gotta take the rings back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But Joe, I really called. I wanted to talk about a category of fake news that's made it to your show over the last 6 months.
Yes.
And these are the stories about the wild shopping sprees that the Zelenskys are going on, and that they're using the United States money. You know, his wife is buying a $20,000 dress in Paris. She spent $1 million supposedly on jewelry in New York City. One that I heard on your show was that he bought himself a Rolls Royce. There's one about him buying a beachfront mansion in Vero Beach. Another one on your show. This was just about a month ago. I think I wrote to you about this.
Yeah.
Zelensky bought 2 yachts for not just one, John, but he bought 2 of them. 2 yachts for $75 million. And then most recently, you had a caller last week. Even this one is probably the best. Zelensky bought. He spent $20 million for a mansion that was owned by the royal family of Great Britain. Right? I don't know if you remember that. And John, here's what these stories all have in common. Obviously, they're trying to hurt Zelensky. Maybe there's some legitimate reasons that you might not want to fund Ukraine, but you don't have to make up fake reasons if you have legitimate ones. And what these stories all have in common, John, they always begin either on social media or some sort, on Twitter, or some sort of obscure website. But they're getting better now at this. You know, what they do is they make a website look like it's a legitimate news site, and they give it a name that sort of sounds legitimate, like the Irish Sun. Yeah. This one I like, the New York News Daily. You know, they just switched 2 words. The Press United. Now, this one that was mentioned last week about he bought, it's called the High Grove Mansion. This was formerly owned by King Charles. This London Crier, it sounds like it's a legitimate, they bill themselves as the #1 news authority for London. Well, some people have looked into it, John. That site was just created on March 26th. So it only existed for 2 weeks before it actually put up the story.
This is a cottage industry now, making Zelensky falsities.
Yeah, exactly. And on that site, they referenced a supposed real estate agent who was confirming this. Now, that was on YouTube, and that YouTube site had just been created like 2 weeks before also. So what they're doing is they're putting up these sites. In many cases, they're even using artificial intelligence to write the stories. Because you've probably heard that. You can tell artificial, give it some information, and it'll write the story. So just that we have to be careful that just because we see something on a website or just because it's passed around a lot on Twitter or Facebook, that doesn't make it real.
That's
when
right.
you actually look into the stories, there's no real evidence. They have people claiming they saw this or they heard this or they have a receipt. And
you know what it's like, Frank? You remember the National Enquirer? You would
exactly
go to the supermarket and you'd stand in line at the checkout line, and then you'd be reading all these headlines. Alien is sighted in New York City. Is it just ridiculous things?
I gave birth to an alien.
Yes.
Well, this is just a modern way of doing it.
That's right.
It's just that, news spreads a lot faster now, and there is an audience. So, in fact, one person who reposted this story was Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Oh. She's in a fight now. She doesn't want to give any more money to Ukraine. So you're always going to find an audience that will,
that's right.
that will be interested in these stories.
That's right.
You just have to be careful.
That's right. Thank you for the call, Frank, as always. Good stuff. 609-407-1450 is our number here in the studio. We're coming up on a break. We'll talk to John after the break, and maybe we'll talk to you. We got a couple open lines, so it's a good time to jump in here and join the fun on Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We'll come back with more of today's edition of Talk with a Purpose in just a moment. But first, we talk about the good stuff again, and that is the finest automobile on the market today. That is Lexus, courtesy of Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. You know, I've told you, since I've been on this show, we are now in our 9th year. I have not driven a car other than Lexus since 2007. There's a reason for that. I always had different cars, changed manufacturers or whatever. Not since Lexus, and that's 2007. And it is one of the finest automobiles on the market today. And when you drive a Lexus, you don't worry about little things, You just do the standard maintenance. You do the oil changes, the brakes, the tires. I got brakes coming up. That's going to be a good one. Oh, I can't wait for that, Bill. But, that's part of the ongoing maintenance. And that's all you really have to do with a Lexus. I got almost 100,000 miles on mine, and it's a 2021. And I plan on keeping this one because, I can't keep getting new cars at this age. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT, online at aclexus.com, aclexus.com. You can check out the website, and you'll see pre-owned, you'll see new, you'll see them all right there, and they're all available for you to test drive. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT, and online at aclexus.com. Coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
I'm Seth Grossman for libertyandprosperity.com. Last month, American Thinker published an article I wrote about the war in the Middle East. I call it 13 key facts about Israel that are known by very few Americans. I invite you to Google it or look it up at libertyandprosperity.com. One is that Palestine was never an Arab nation. It was the name that a Roman emperor gave to Israel after he crushed a Jewish rebellion there. Another is that most of Israel or Palestine was mostly empty malaria swamp and desert until about 100 years ago. Most Arabs did not move there until after Jews drained the swamps, watered the deserts, and planted trees and crops. Learn more about these and other important facts about Jews, Christians, and Arabs in and around Israel. Visit libertyandprosperity.com. Help us reach more people. Join our weekly breakfast. Donate what you can to keep us on the air and online. libertyandprosperity.com.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose. We have a marvelous invention called the radio version of On Demand. I love it. You Google John DeMasi podcasts and all of the shows come up. Some over 200 shows. Wonder if we could have a contest. I listen to all the shows. What would that prize be? John DeMasi Podcast, you Google that, and all the shows come up. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We'll get into this thing about the Trump. Well, it's actually an ad for Biden against Trump, and oh boy, it's really something. We'll do that in a minute. John in Ocean City. John, good morning. Welcome back.
Yes. There's a multilingual special operations lieutenant colonel by the name of Sergeant Sangari, whose military intelligence had him working over in the Near East, Middle East, and Eastern Europe. He said the billions of dollars that are being sent to Ukraine are passing through many, not just some, many sticky fingers. And one pair of hands, he said, that has those sticky fingers belong to Volodymyr Zelensky. Yeah. It's not just a London Crier, and I didn't get that, by the by, from the London Crier. I just had looked it up after I had brought it up because I wanted to ask said he may say about him buying a mansion in excess of 20 million pounds, which is equal to $25 million, $276,000 in U.S. money, currency. Also, that you can find that on Yahoo. I think it's Yahoo UK. Anyway, Henry Mackell has said that this idea that feminism, we're going backwards back into the Stone Age. We don't support feminism in every.
Oops. Okay, bye. Oh, John's got to get a better phone. We definitely. I mean, this isn't the first time it happened. It doesn't happen often, but it happened. Bob and Cape May. Bob, good morning. Welcome back. Hello.
Hi, John. Sorry for the delay, John. There, I didn't think I was up so quickly. But,
well, anyway, stuff happens, Bob.
Responding to Frank here, okay? So he sure seems like a fact checker. He sure seems like he's enlightening us, but usually Frank doesn't really tell the whole story. Okay? Now, with regard to Ukraine,
John, welcome back.
We have not had an audit of the $150 billion that we've sent over there. We don't know what happened to that money. And I'll give you an example here. What did we spend in Afghanistan? Monumental amounts of money.
That's right. Yeah.
It turns out 40%, we paid for the salaries of the Afghan security forces. We paid for them. Our U.S. tax dollars paid for them. They didn't come out of Afghanistan's treasury because, Afghanistan, what do they produce but besides poppy for opium? But 40% of those forces were phantom forces. They got paid. Government officials in Afghanistan got our money. 40% of those forces were non-existent, but they got our money. So, Frank thinks fund Ukraine no matter what. We can afford it. Well, I have to tell you, Frank, we have like a $35 trillion national debt. We are spending money like drunken sailors. Our tax burden is getting too heavy. Sooner or later, this national debt, we're not going to be able to fund our Defense Department, period. The interest on it is going to kill us. You mortgage your house and continually mortgage your house with no restraints. Let's say the banks keep lending you money. Eventually, you're not going to be able to afford the interest payments on your house.
That's right.
And you're going to lose your house. And look, that's what's going to happen to our country if we're not careful about how we spend our money. So, Frank, look into things a little more deeply. Don't think that you know everything because, you know what? You're usually a fountain of misinformation in a lot of cases. And this is a prime case here. Ukraine funding is not all good versus evil. We're sending them a ton of money.
And we keep sending it, and we keep doing it.
Exactly. And there is no end game to this. You are not going to defeat the Soviet Union. Their forces are something like 10 times of what the Ukrainians have. Their ordnances, their howitzers, their artillery is massive compared to what Ukraine has, number one. And it's not the only way we're going to possibly defeat the Russians is by sending U.S. forces there and making it another Vietnam or whatever. And then what about the nuclear situation? There are so many ramifications to this. And for some reason, and I think we know what the reason was, that Zelensky had a peace initiative on the table, would have ended hostilities. The ethnic Russian-speaking portions of Ukraine, there aren't that many, but a couple provinces that want to be Russian get to be Russian. And then Ukraine's borders are guaranteed. Ukraine doesn't get attacked again. And Ukraine but Ukraine cannot join NATO. Now you've got Blinken and Biden calling for Ukraine to eventually join NATO. And that's always been a non-starter, not only for Putin, but for Russia. Since the Soviet, Ukraine was not independent in the Soviet Union, but Ukraine, they cannot join NATO. That means we are guaranteeing their security, number one. Number two, that's a no-no for the Russians. It's just like, if Mexico joined some kind of alliance with the communist Chinese. That's a real no-no. That's right. They're right on the Russian borders.
Yeah.
And again, it's so far flung. I mean, Zelensky and his allies in the Biden administration, they're even talking about retaking Crimea that they lost when Obama was president. Well, Crimea was historically a Russian province. The majority of people there are ethnic Russians. The Russian Black Sea Fleet has been there for hundreds of years in the fortress of Sevastopol. That is not going back to Ukraine. That happened to be given to Ukraine after the Soviet Union fell, and the people there didn't want to be part of Ukraine. So, again, this is not just good and bad. There are subtleties here. There's more to this story than you think.
That's for sure. Yeah,
exactly. And look, we don't need our tax dollars going. We need a peace settlement. We need the Russians and Ukrainians to stop killing each other. We want peace to flourish. We want their economies to come back. We want these people to heal. And we don't want, what is wrong with wanting peace?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Bob, again, thanks for the call. John's back. John in Ocean City. I hope you fix your phone.
Oh, my gosh. Forget these 21st century gadgets, man. You kidding me? Man. Kiev is named after, or Kiev, however you want to pronounce it, is named after Key, Prince Key. It's called the City of Key. It was the Key dynasty there in Ukraine and Crimean Peninsula. They were Ukrainians. They weren't Russians, they were Ukrainians. However, the Crimean Peninsula is the apple of the eye of many invaders, including the Russians. And yet the Russians took possession of that. That's not our problem. We don't. That's 3,000 years of conflict that goes back all the way to BCE. Please stop. We don't belong there. They're actually training pregnant women and autistic children that are just barely 18 years old to go fight this stinking war. Okay, we don't need to be over there. Why frickin' Zelensky's navigating his yachts through the Black Sea? Ukrainian citizens are coming back to their parents in body bags. So just stop the bullcrap now. That's what I say. But this idea that we're going back into the Stone Age, women are going to have their rights taken away from them. Well, Henry Mackell, who was 100% Jewish, who lost all four of his grandparents in the Holocaust, he said his mother was running a supply company in Canada. She was the boss. She called the shots. So that was back in the 30s and 40s. Okay, and the same thing here in America. Opportunity to people that have merit, not based on because you're a certain skin color or you're a certain sexual orientation or a certain sex. It's a bunch of crap. But this idea that we have to be over in Ukraine is crapola. And Henry Mackell, just go on to I knew about Henry Mackell a long time ago, but just recently he's been interviewed. It's all called Age of TV. It's in YouTube, and it's a fellow from Copenhagen, Denmark, who actually interviews people. He has far out guests, and one of them was Henry Mackell. And Henry Mackell more or less said that what's going on here is a Freemasonic conspiracy, but because and he is a Jew, he's an ethnic Jew, and he was mad as a hornet, wanted to get to the bottom of it. Who were responsible for the killing of his dear grandparents? Because he found out that the Rothschilds are involved in it. The Rothschilds funded World War II, and the Rothschilds were born Jewish. So he has an axe to grind with the elites Jewish and Gentile. It is an internationalist conspiracy against regular people, regular Jewish people, regular Catholic people, regular Protestant people. You name the religion, name the skin color. We regular people, we're useless eaters to these people. Thanks for letting me call in again.
All right, John. Thanks for the call. We're going to take these calls after the break. We have Greg, Mike, and Frank. We'll do that after the break. We're coming up on a break shortly. But I wanted to mention this to you. Within hours, and this is where Trump has got to be careful of how he goes about saying, oh, I did this, I did that. He's been bragging about, I got Roe v. Wade overturned. Well, he appointed the 3 conservative judges, and they ultimately were part of the majority that overturned it. But I feel like he's got to really stay off this as much as possible, because within hours of his statement that he was responsible for Roe v. Wade, the Biden campaign released a new TV ad, and I happened to see it yesterday. And wow, it is really, really, I mean, it's gut-wrenching. In the ad, it features a woman who nearly died after being denied medical care because of since enacted restrictive abortion laws. In the ad, the woman says, Donald Trump did this. Now, remember, he owned up to the fact that he overturned Roe v. Wade. I don't think he should be doing that all that much. Okay, if you want to take credit for that, fine. But do you see where it's hurting? Because this hurt in the 2022 elections. And it really, they are going to pounce on this and pounce on this forever. The Democrats also plan to blame Trump not just for the abortion ban, but in conservative-led states for the restrictions of fertility treatments. That of course, happened in Alabama after the state Supreme Court ruled that embryos should be considered children and awarded legal protections. They're blaming Trump for that, and he didn't have anything to do with that. You see? You see where this is going? But really, watch for that ad. Biden comes on and says, Donald Trump did this. And it's really disturbing. And I just hope they can, they've got plenty to attack Biden on. I mean, we've listed it already today. We've listed a few of them. But they got to hammer that home. Republicans got to hammer that home. Get organized. Hammer home all of the bad points, and there are many. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We'll get back to your calls after these words.
The finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere? Check. Award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets? Check. Baked goods and prepared foods? Check. They check all the boxes. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And that's not all. Gourmet items, specialty foods, and catering for all occasions. It's all right there. Check them out online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. For this afternoon, windy with episodes of sunshine. Should be a good show. High 63. Breezy this evening. Clear with low dipping to 44. Breezy warmer tomorrow with sun followed by increasing clouds. High up to 74. A thunderstorm in spots tomorrow night into Monday. Going to be warmer with clouds then sunshine. High up to 80. I'm AccuWeather's Ruth O'Brien on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose. If you miss any of today's show, you can catch us tomorrow, Sunday, 5 till 7. Talk with a Purpose replay right here, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. So nice we play it twice. Remember that? 609-407-1450 is our number. Let's talk to Greg again in Absecon. Greg, welcome back.
Mr. Massey, sorry to bother you guys.
No, you're not bothering me.
Let me get my brain on. Sorry. the monies that are being supposedly sent to Ukraine and Israel, they never leave the country. The monies pay for the supplies and the armament that we're sending to them. They never see a dollar of the money.
Ukraine doesn't see a dollar? Ukraine doesn't see any? Okay.
My understanding of it, nor does Israel. That's how they pay for the equipment we're supplying and sending over.
Okay.
That's how they're getting it.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing, as far as the information on TV, I turned the TVs off 4 years ago. Most of the literature I read is out of magazines. 10, 12 subjects at a time. Pro and con, the way they're written. It's very eventful as far as what they're saying and telling you. It's the truth. And they just eliminate all the clouds. You get a clearer picture of what's happening because what we're being fed has already started.
Oh, yeah.
The numbers are starting to fluctuate, the percentages. And that's the first indication that we will be fed varying numbers via what's being told and also the polls.
Yeah.
They'll start fluctuating.
Yeah.
If we're paying attention to them, shame on us. Because it's not true. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's pretty bad when you watch TV and you watch the news and you have to say to yourself, is that true or not? I mean, it really is bad. I mean, because it didn't used to be that way.
The one practice they have, and it's omission. They tell you what they want you to know.
Yeah.
And as far as the full story, forget about it.
Yeah. That's right.
It just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, it's
a thought.
It's a disturbing thought. Yeah. Thanks for the call, Greg. Mike and Linwood. Mike, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Hey, good morning. You know, at some point, you have to hold these Republicans responsible. They do nothing. They lose at everything. The Democrats beat their brains in on every topic. Every day you wake up, there's something more outrageous going on. Whether it's the transgender kids they're trying to manipulate, 5-, 6-year-olds, the border's closed. The border's not closed. Crime has gone down. Crime hasn't gone down. Everything. In Michigan, which is mostly Muslim, they're chanting, "Kill Americans."
Jeez.
When are you going to wake up? Did you forget 9/11? They were Muslims that took the towers down, okay?
Yeah.
And then they said, you can't lump them all together. Okay, guess what? They took a poll around the country. 50% of the Muslims agree with the terrorists.
Jeez.
What do you think of that? And they live in our country.
That's right.
And you have the radical women, Muslim congresswomen that are out of their mind. They won't condemn what they said. Tlaib has a Palestinian flag in the hall and the American flag tucked away. When the hell are you going to wake up? When are you going to call these people out?
That's
the
a disgrace.
Republicans are scared to death.
Yeah, you know,
they do nothing.
That's right.
And guess what?
They allow it to happen. Really, they allow it to happen.
And guess what? All you Trump lovers, he's going to fall short. Mark my words, he's going to fall short. It was all a waste of time. And you're going to have 4 more years of these Democratic lunatics, and the country will be finished for good.
Boy,
have a good day, buddy.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Thanks for those encouraging words. Jeez, I hope you're wrong, but No, there's an element of truth to that. Really is. Frank and Ventnor. Frank, you always seem to get involved in controversy.
Yeah, John, your favorite font of misinformation has a return call. John, the most ironic thing I heard today is Bob saying that I'm someone who acts like he knows everything. Wow. But anyway, John, so this is a trick. This is a debating trick. When you can't argue the facts, you attack the person.
Yes.
Bob knows what I think.
Oh, yeah.
He knows what I think about Ukraine. You remember, John, I started and I said there are legitimate reasons that you can criticize Zelensky in Ukraine, but why go with the fake ones? So my question to Bob is, which of those five, and I talked about specific things. I didn't talk about funding Ukraine. I talked about 5 specific stories that have no evidence. What misinformation did I give, Bob? Bob says I'm always giving him misinformation. I'd like to know what other information I've given on other calls also. So that's my question to Bob. Try to keep to what I said. You don't need to try to attack me, Bob. It might work with other people. Doesn't work with me. And what did I say, Bob, that you want to say is actually that I gave misinformation? Which of those stories? So that's all, John.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call, Frank. Oh, we get debates among the callers. 609-407-1450. Let's talk to the other Steve in Absecon. Hi, other Steve. Welcome to Talk with the Purpose.
Johnny D. I just want to bring up a point that the other caller, Mike from Linwood, was talking about, but in a different vein. One of the things that I see that the Republican Party, I'm not sure is addressed, and it's an interesting point, is the influence of young people. Specifically, I don't know what the status of young Republicans are, but I do know that a lot of young people as a whole, this generation, the current, are rejecting traditional values. And a lot of them, through the internet, are exposed to a lot of things as, let's say, in the 1980s, they wouldn't have been exposed to. And even something like rock and roll, which traditionally would be against traditional values, they reject even rock and roll as they're into like boy bands and dance music and things like that. So the thing that I'm saying with technology exposing these people to a lot of things, even things from over Europe that are very, very different and very radical as opposed to what the traditional values are here, how the Republicans feel about developing their own version of a young Republican to be somewhat popular, because the Republicans don't seem to be very, very popular, and how they can counteract that, because I would think they would need a lot of young people to vote for them. And I don't really know if a lot of people want to embrace the traditional values. And if you or your callers could comment on that, I'd be very, very happy.
Okay. Well, we'll put it out there. Thank you for the call, other Steve. Dan in Linwood is back. Dan, good morning. Welcome back.
John, I'm gonna need a minute or two for this dissertation, because first of all, the Muslim population, majority population that fellow said in Michigan,
yes,
it's actually 2.75%.
I didn't think it was 50%. I mean,
3%.
Yeah, okay.
Not 27.5, 3%. And if you were running supposedly the world as you have to be the superpower, what superpower would raise a commodity up so high and fund his enemies? Russia, Iran, Ukraine, Venezuela, Iraq. Are you kidding me? Every time we pass something with the new Green Deal, our price of gas will go up. Currently, it's $5.95 in California. All right? Our price of electricity, according to Obama, is going to necessarily skyrocket. Well, it has. Okay? So you're giving money to Iran. You remember the pallets of money they dropped there on the tarmac?
Yeah.
Okay. Then they're forgiving the $100 billion, and then the $6 billion plus the hostage payment, plus the most important thing: if you raise the price of oil, Russia gets healthy. Ukraine, believe it or not, gets healthy. And Donald Trump basically carried it out to Venezuela and, of course, Iraq. But if oil is $85 a barrel, they're making a fortune. We're losing money because we're going the opposite way with the new Green Deal.
Yes.
And we can't even resupply our strategic oil reserves because the price is so high. Because Joe don't know, basically, is the saying. And Trump wants to lend money to Ukraine because Ukraine has a lot of product. And if that fellow who said that the money never leaves the United States, $4.5 billion is given directly to the Ukraine government in support of pensions.
Oh boy! Oh,
and you could look that up on anything, and they'll say, "Is it false or true?" It'll all say it's true because it's happening. The money is going in cash directly to the Ukrainians, and if you have a corruption, you have it in Russia, Iran, Ukraine, Venezuela, and Iraq. These are the hotbeds of corruption. So why would you blindly give money to a corrupt place like Ukraine if you were not going to have conditions and accounting? That's all I ask.
Yeah.
Have a good accounting of where the money is going. And if it's going to pensions, I would say we have homeless vets on the street. We have homeless people all over California. We have problems of our own. We're basically going, the theory is your cousin, your cousin says, approaches you and say, I'd like to, I would like to borrow money so I could give it to these people. Wait a minute. First of all, give your own money. Why are you bothering Uncle John?
Right. That's right.
And that's what we're doing. We're all Uncle John. We're being approached to fund this bull with the student loan. Sociologists, professors, and all these folks are making $125,000 a year, and the carpenters and the plumbers who never went to college but have making good livings, you're intruding on their finances by saying you have to pay for these folks. Once again, Uncle John theory.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I don't know. We have to do something. And Trump's right. You send money over with conditions, and if they don't meet the conditions, if NATO doesn't start to kick in, and if we don't do the right thing, I would drop our contribution down to an equal, and not proportionate, not 3% of GDP or 2% of GDP, a certain amount. Everybody splits it equally, and then I would get out in the United Nations, turn it into condos.
That's it. You got it.
They would go home. They would go to The Hague, and all that double parking and diplomatic immunity would be over because they vote against us all the time, and we're just a punching bag for the United Nations, and we host them like suckers.
Yes. Dan, thanks a lot for the call. That's certainly true. Linda in Absecon. Linda, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
My friend, so. But thank you for asking. My friend Frank and you are my friend Frank and Ventnor. But Progner really is worth listening to. The man isn't. He's the real deal, and he's a smart man, and he's not obnoxious about it. And like many, most, and maybe all, and one way or the other, you have great callers. And if you so if you don't like the way America is leaning on the way it's voting, how did you raise your children? What did you teach them? Did you dare tell them that a major founder of this nation said 2 things make America great? Can you take a guess, John, at one of them?
Oh boy, that's a hard one.
It's not. 2 things make America great.
Freedom
her Christianity
I was just about
Christian. I knew. I thought you were going to do it too, John. Please. Her Christianity and her Christian Constitution. And so how many mothers and fathers, rather than going out shopping with your kids, maybe you might want to take them to church? How many of you mother and fathers, when you sent your children off to school, maybe you taught them what your mother and father taught you, that marriage is good and it's between a man and a woman. No, you don't. And you don't bring your boyfriend to come home and sleep with you in your room during spring break. And speaking about spring break, what you don't do, spring break, there was no, like my husband said, spring break. He said, a spring break, I had to go to work.
Yeah. What a concept, huh?
So he could go to school.
Yeah.
And so, no, we haven't done well for America, because I understand America right now is 73%, for abortion. America, 73% is leaning towards abortion, if that's true. What are you teaching your children? That you can send them to college, they can have sex, they can have babies, or if they have a baby, that we can get rid of the little tyke, because it's okay. No, it's not okay. You've hurt your child. You hurt your daughter. Your daughter's going to understand that it was the wrong thing to do at some point in her life. And I'm done.
Okay. Okay, Linda. Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. That was abrupt, but it's okay. 609-407-1450. We'll start hour number 3 with Craig in Northfield, and maybe we'll talk to you. Got a couple open lines, 609-407-1450. In hour number 3, another thought about about O.J. Simpson. And this is another really beautiful thing. We'll talk about, we've kicked this around, the Biden student loan forgiveness. Sure. We'll give you the parameters on this. Boy, I'll tell you. And we'll take a survey. We'll do all that in hour number 3. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And maybe we'll have a couple of arguments between callers. This is a free-for-all, this show. We have callers arguing with callers and callers sticking up for callers. You don't get this anywhere else, do you? Talk with a Purpose is a show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We have hour number 2 in the books. Hour number 3 is on the way, and you know what we say. Don't go away. Hour number 3 coming right up.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 3, Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And also heard on 1450 AM and also at WPGTalkRadio.com online. Always streaming online. Good to have you with us. Another hour of our show, and we'll get to the calls in just a moment. But I just wanted to add, this is just one more thing on O.J. Simpson. On CNN, which I didn't watch this, somebody sent me this. So I saw this on, she was on CNN. Ashley Allison. She is a former senior advisor in the Obama administration. She said of O.J. Simpson that it was a racial issue, and we'll always have this discussion in America, how we are divided among race. Gee, that's enlightening, isn't it? How about this? Did anybody ever say this? A black man killed 2 white people, and it was premeditated. Take the race out of this. If it was the other way around, oh boy. But it doesn't matter whether you're black or white. 2 people needlessly were killed. That's it. But they're always saying, it's the racial divide. The black people just wanted him to get it off because he was black. But then O.J. Simpson didn't believe he was black. He thought he was white. And his actions showed that. I don't understand. I mean, if I were a black person, I wouldn't have rooted for him because he didn't want to be one of us. It's simple as that. 609-407-1450. Craig in Northfield. Craig, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Well, good morning, FISA. Good morning, John.
Okay, good morning.
Well, I had to say good morning because, they're listening. They just got permission for another at least 2 years, to listen in on us when, it gets reevaluated again without even a warrant. They can listen in on everybody. Not that they handled that so well. They spied on somebody that was running for president, Donald J. Trump. You could see what they're doing to him today. But, boy, you got some. What are you having? I thought the Tyson fight was in July. The way you got your broadcast today, everybody's arguing. Oh, I would take a bet. Do you want to bet on the Tyson? I'm going to take Tyson. You want to take the other guy?
No, that's all right. That's all right. I don't want to. I don't want to bet against Tyson. No, you're already into me for a dinner plus extras.
I'm not into you. You're into me.
Okay, well, whatever.
Let's get the story straight over here. You owe me. People would think that I owe you. I don't want anybody to think that I've been, pushing this back 9 months over here on the loss. But it's okay. The lobster tail just got bigger. I think I sent you a picture.
You did. It was one of the biggest lobster tails I ever saw.
You almost need a hand truck to carry it.
Yeah, that's right.
But, I heard somebody talk about the tinfoil hat group, but we talk about keep it in the drawer. But, John, my tinfoil hat group, I came in on you and I said, be careful what you ask for over there in Israel. I said, it's going to be a powder keg. What do we got over there right now?
A powder keg.
Thank you. All right, tinfoil alert. And we got a president that's telling us by 1930. Yeah, I don't know if I sent you this picture. Did you see it? I sent you a picture of Biden and what? A Corvette?
Oh, yeah.
Right. And now this is the guy that's telling us we need electric.
He's in a Corvette.
What's he driving there?
A Corvette.
What kind of engine does that have, John?
Oh, it's a big engine.
But what powers it?
Gas.
Gasoline. And that car, of all cars, back in the day, people don't know, that probably got like 8 miles to the gallon.
If that.
But you were buying gas for 50 cents a
gallon,
right?
That's right.
Okay, so you could fill it up for almost, $8.
Yeah.
They were the days. But, here he's driving the Corvette, showing off in his Corvette, but he says, I want you to get a car that weighs 300 pounds. When the truck comes by, it just blows you off the road. Okay. So I want to talk about, I sent you a little thing about Zelensky right there in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that because I know that somebody was talking about that. Did anybody know that the National Health Organization said, you know what, you better close those labs in Ukraine because it appears that Russia's winning the war? Did you know that, John?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's what Putin usually said that this whole war was about, was those labs, that they could possibly have chemical warfare, against Russia and maybe depopulate their population with a virus. Imagine that. Do you understand what we're talking about here? So how off base could Putin be? Seriously.
Yeah.
How many people died in North Jersey when our governor put those people in that?
Too many.
Senior citizen, and the governor of New York, same thing, right?
Yeah.
All right. So my last thing here, and I got to be brief here, but the people were talking on your show here this morning about traditional values, and about the younger people not having traditional. Well, I wanted people to know that, number one, young men are starting to come back to traditional values for their women. Maybe the
That's
women
good.
aren't as traditional.
That's good.
But no. They're looking for a woman that will come home and, let them be the leader of their home. And a lot of women say there's not a lot of good men out there, and they got to make $200,000. Well, that's only 2% of the population. You know that, John?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so, a woman today, you see it out there. They say, well, how much do you think a good husband should make? And they're like, well, at least $250,000. Well, that's 2% of the population.
Yeah.
So go try to find that guy, number one. So what they said was there's no good men out there. But so what young men are doing now is they're going to Japan to get traditional women, and they're bringing them over to this country.
Yeah, I've heard of that. You've
heard that, right?
Yeah.
And so what are they looking for? Somebody that's going to run a traditional household.
Yes.
And somebody that's going to be a leader of the house. And I know that some women will say, that's chauvinistic. But, that may not be also, because I think that people are getting back to tradition. And, most households that are unsuccessful, where their kids are having a problem, there's not a man in the house.
That's right. And
that's since the 1950s.
That's right.
So let's see if that continues to change, and maybe we'll have traditional marriages back in our society.
Hopefully it will. Craig,
All right.
thank you for the call. Thank you. 609-407-1450. John is back. John in Ocean City. Welcome back.
Yes, good morning. They have what are called English defamation laws regarding libel. Once it is shown that a statement was published and that it has a defamatory meaning, that statement is presumed to be false unless the defendant is able to raise a defense to his defamatory act. Under English law, because companies or legal persons can sue on the basis of libel, the same as natural person. So anyway, this Highgrove estate, I know what happened. I'm a silly savage for even supposing that the bought it for.
You know what, John? You got to get a better phone. You can call back if you have a better connection. All right. Let's talk to Mike again. Mike, welcome back.
Hey, John. No, I just wanted to clarify what I said last hour. I did not say Michigan had a 50% population. What I said was they took a survey in the United States. 50% of the Muslim population sides with Hamas. That's what I said.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. Thanks for the clarification and the call back. 609-407-1450. All right, you want to hear the Biden student loan forgiveness plan? Okay, here it is. One thing about Biden when it comes to this, he tries, and he tries again, and they keep getting shot down, and then he comes up with another one. This is a new plan to forgive student loans. There are 4 types of borrowers that this applies to. Number 1, people who owe more money than they did when their repayment started. Borrowers who started repaying loans more than 20 years ago. Those already eligible for existing loan forgiveness or discharge programs who haven't applied. And finally, borrowers who are facing economic hardship. Gee, I can say I'm facing economic hardship. Aren't we all? I mean, under Biden, we have all faced economic hardship. Boy, have we. It's called inflation. The Biden administration is basing its new plan on the 1965 Higher Education Act, allowing the Education Secretary to compromise, waive, or release loans under certain circumstances. The goal is to start this program in the early fall. Do you believe that? Just, forgive the loans. Is this going to go through? I don't know. He's tried this a couple of times. And it hasn't worked, but he keeps trying. Because he wants to buy the votes. Come on, this is plain and simple. That's what Biden does, and that's what the Democrats do. They buy votes. And they just keep on buying. And they don't care if the money runs out because it's not their money. Oh, boy. And speaking of college, last week we did a story on the high cost of college education. Well, we outdid ourselves. This week, I found out about a really, really high cost of college education. Remember? A number of private colleges, some considered elite and others middle of the pack, have exceeded the $90,000 threshold. Wellesley College, near Boston, is going to cost $92,000 for the school year 24-25. Ridiculous. Is that realistic? I mean, how much would you have to earn to make it worth your while? It would cost you, when you factor in the books and all that stuff and the cost of living and all of that, you're talking about close to $500,000. It may take you many years to make that back. I don't know how many, but can you imagine? $500,000 for a college education. Ridiculous. 609-407-1450. We're coming up on a break. And after the break, we're going to ask you a question. We're going to take a survey here on the show. Should illegals be allowed to collect Social Security? What do you think? Should illegals be allowed to collect Social Security? What do you think? Well, you know what I think. I'll tell you about it after the break. 609-407-1450. I'm John DeMasi. More Talk with a Purpose after these words.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose. Again, 609-407-1450. What are we talking about? I was asking the question, another survey on the show here, should illegals be allowed to collect Social Security? What do you think? Well, we'll see. We'll see what the audience says here on Talk with a Purpose. 609-407-1450. Let's talk to Andy in Brigantine. Andy, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Morning, John. It's a great day in the city of Brigantine.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. You mentioned the cost of college, and I was going to bring this up, and I had called in earlier to Harry. They always bitch about student debt, but nobody ever bitches about the cost of tuition.
Yeah,
now
that's right.
There's a reason the tuition is so high, And that's because a lot of it is subsidized by the government, which means it's subsidized by you and me.
Yes.
So when any company or organization does business with the federal government, they always jack the prices up because they know the government's just going to rubber stamp the bill that they get. Whatever it is. They rubber stamp it because it's not their money.
That's right. Right.
So college tuition is going to keep going up, 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 because the government will pay whatever they're charging because it's not their money.
Right.
So,
right.
You've got all of these, you've got people like Claudine Gay, right? The plagiarist, clueless woman at Harvard, making hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars a year. This is why the price of college is so high. So when you start scaling back the sizes of the staff at these colleges, all these people who come in one day a week and have class one day a week, and they're tenured, you can't get rid of them. Maybe the price will start to come down. But this thing with Biden again trying to circumvent the Supreme Court. This is not Joe Biden doing this. This is Barack Obama. The Joe Biden that we know, if he was told by the Supreme Court he couldn't do something, that would be the end of it. But that's not Barack Obama. Well, Obama was the guy who said, if Congress won't act, I will. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the guy who had a pen and a phone, and he was going to do what he wanted to do.
That's right.
So now here's Biden again. This is a redistribution of wealth. He didn't cancel the debt. He merely took the debt and put it on someone else's shoulders. He took it from the people who don't produce, and he put it on the shoulders of the people who do produce. So it's a redistribution of wealth. You might remember when Barack Obama told Joe the plumber in 2008, he said, I believe that when you spread the wealth around, it's good for everybody. So the way he spreads the wealth around is he takes your tax dollars, my tax dollars, and he pays student loans. He takes your tax dollars and my tax dollars, and he gives it to illegals. That's redistribution of wealth. And the so-called 1%, well, the 1% really is the United States generally. The 1% in the world is the United States. So he's taking United States wealth and redistributing it to other countries via the illegals who are from 170 different countries from all over the world. He's redistributing American wealth to foreign countries through the illegals that are here. So that's how he's doing it. Very, very clever. Now, do you really think Joe Biden, who can't even tie his shoes, is coming up with all of this stuff?
No way. No way.
Now,
you said it best. Obama.
Yeah, this is everything that Joe Biden does. You look at it and you're like, you know what? This doesn't look like the Joe Biden that we've known for 50 years, but it looks exactly like the Barack Obama that we've known for 12 or 16 years now. These are precisely the kinds of things that Barack Obama did. And real quick, John, I don't know if you heard, I had to tune out for a while. So Joe Biden has a new DEI chief, okay?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it just happened. Diversity, equity, and inclusion chief that he just hired. And here, are you sitting down, John? It's a shock.
Yep.
It's a black woman.
Oh, that is a shock. Yes.
Yeah, and this woman says that the United States is a failed experiment.
Oh.
And that it was based on colonization. So, I hope you sleep better at night knowing that we have this diversity chief now who also hates the country.
Yeah.
Just like Obama did, and just like his wife did, because they told us so, both directly and indirectly. They told us how much they hated the country, because otherwise, why would you want to fundamentally transform it? You don't fundamentally transform anything that you love. You want to keep it the way it is,
That's
right?
Right. That's right.
So this is all Obama. All Obama.
Oh, thanks for that information, Andy. Thanks for the call. So we have a new diversity, equity, and inclusion head. Boy, I'm really excited about that. Jeez. What'll they come up with next? Greg and Absecon. Greg, welcome back.
Mr. DeMasi, good afternoon. As far as Social Security, giving it away to people, forget about it. No. Under any circumstances.
That's what I say. That's what I say. No.
Can I just make ask a question about it? The government has taken out $2 trillion and put in IOUs. Have they thrown in percentages too, as far as what they borrowed?
Yeah.
Over the years. In other words, if they go out and borrow money from anyone, they're paying them interest.
Yes.
Well, they borrowed our money. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they did. They did.
The bottom line, it's not their money to give away.
That's right.
But they treat it like, well, it's a responsibility they were given to monitor funds for people that were going to have it for retirement.
Yeah.
Not to give it away to the world.
That's right. That's right.
It's insane. That's about it. The one other question, we could solve problems immediately if we bought another country and then put out a notation. If you're unhappy in the present country we have, we bought you one.
Go to the other one.
Go to the other one. We will give you free airfare to get you there. And you're on your own.
Okay.
We're not going to subsidize it. You people have all the answers and just don't like what we do. You do it the way you want to do it, and we'll see how long you survive.
Oh, that's good.
The country.
That's good.
Well,
Greg, thanks for the
a lot of problems.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Thanks for the call. Yeah, how about somewhere near Siberia? You okay? You want to go there? All right. That's what you do. 609-407-1450. You got some open lines, a rare moment in the show where we do have that. So if you want to jump in here right away, feel free. 609-407-1450. Just want to talk briefly about the casinos because get ready for some more crying because, well, profits weren't what they expected. It was reported the other day that casinos were less profitable in 2023, despite the increase in online gambling and sports betting. The results were a decline of 1.6%. Now, I can see this. Now, all 9 casinos were profitable in 2023, but only 3 saw an increase in profitability. Is it time that we take up a collection for the casinos? Can you see the crying already? Oh, well, we're going to close. We listen. We can't live on profits being down. We need another tax break. By the way, I said last week that Denny Levinson would be on this week, and I was mistaken. He'll be on next week on the show. So we're looking forward to that. Denny Levinson on the show next Saturday at 10, right here, Atlantic County Executive Denny Levinson. One other thing that I wanted to talk about, and that is Bob Menendez. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is he still in the... he wants the luxury lifestyle out of the trial.
Good beer.
They are hoping that the evidence helps establish a motive for the crimes charged against the New Jersey senator and his wife. By the way, his wife is planning to have surgery. It's a necessary surgery. And so she's saying, I got to have separate trials, and I want mine postponed. And okay. We'll see about that. But that'll be another circus, and hopefully he won't run. DJ in Summers Point, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
How you doing, John? Long time no talk.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm getting ready to come back and enjoy the Jersey Shore.
Good.
I don't know if Bob's still down in Florida, but he's on the West Coast.
Well, he was as of this morning.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, the weather down here is really getting nice, so it was a little bit of a bad winter, if you so to speak. The temperature.
Yeah, I heard a lot of rain, and below average temperatures.
Yeah, but that's the way it works. And of course, the predictions for a lot of storms is not good, but you just have to keep your fingers crossed.
That's right.
Yeah. I'll make a couple quick comments because I haven't called in for a while. OJ. Well, I don't even have to state my position, but hey, it's over, ladies and gentlemen. Move on. This guy's gotten enough ink.
Yes, he has.
He's got enough press. Move on. You have your opinions. If you believe in your opinions and your beliefs, stay with it. Don't change. It was a bad jury. It was a jury that, if you ask the people what the jury was made up of their backgrounds, their races, there was 8 blacks on that jury, and there was 2 Hispanics. One that was mixed, and then the other one I think was white.
Jeez.
So don't be surprised if you got the verdict that you got.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
Plain and simple. Clark and the what's the other guy? His name?
Christopher Darden.
They got out lawyered.
Yeah, they did. Badly.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
You had some of the best criminal defense lawyers in the country during that time, and they did a number on them. And they were not prepared.
No, they weren't.
And you always, when you look back and you go back and you Google stuff and you find out new information. What a fascinating thing was, do you know somehow, some way, when they were doing jury selections, they didn't use all their challenges to remove people automatically. Because if you have a challenge, you can just say, that's it, you're gone.
Yeah.
They let the next Black Panther on the jury.
Jeez.
And I'm not making it up. I
know. I mean, they were cooked from the beginning. They really were.
Okay. And by the time the trial wrapped up, it was 8 months long. Those jurors, I think people did forget. They didn't go home at the end of the day and, put in a TV dinner and talk with the family, have a drink. They were sequestered.
Yes, that's right.
Now, John, if you were on a jury for 8 months and you had to live at a motel the whole time and eat motel food or takeout and all that, you think you would take a lot of time with jury deliberation.
Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. 8 months.
Yeah, that was long.
I think the Manson trial might have been longer. But I watched the show the other night, and Leo Terrell was on it, Fox News. And you got to laugh. I guess, and he was on with Dershowitz. And they both say the jury did what they had to do based on the doubt that was risen and presented by the defense. Okay?
Yeah.
They did their job. they raised doubt. Foreman, once I was watching this and Foreman got basically exposed as a liar, I said that it's over.
Yeah.
That was that's the way I called it 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It's over. And by the way, he was the only one charged with anything. Not planting evidence. He just lied about using the N-word.
Yeah.
He should have probably just told the truth, said, yeah, I did in a moment of weakness. I'm sorry. Because in today's world, the only ones that can use the N-word is the people of color.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Deal with it. You go to a comedy show. They can say it 20 times in a minute.
Yeah.
But you can't.
That's right.
But
I don't understand it.
But that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand. And really, what I didn't understand was that very simply, and Johnny Cochran made a racial issue out of it, but this guy was a savage. He killed 2 people, and he killed them savagely. And nobody said anything about that. It was just kind of brushed over. And I just didn't understand that. I really didn't. And I don't know. I'm glad he finally got what he deserved this Thursday.
And he did get prison time for.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Related to his life in general.
Yeah.
Put them. So at least he did some time. And some experts say, if he went in there at the beginning of this and pled, say, you know what, I lost it. I freaked out. I don't even remember doing it. I loved her dearly, et cetera, et cetera. He maybe would have got away with involuntary manslaughter, crime of passion, so to speak.
Yeah.
And maybe would have done that amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But, that's just not the way it played out. But the one last thing, too, is Hannity asked Leo Terrell, the noted civil rights attorney.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Who was on with those two.
Yeah.
Hannity asked him, Drake, what do you think? Did you think OJ did it? And he dodged the question with a smile. So that tells you, lawyers are lawyers.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess that meant he did it.
Yeah, and Dershowitz brought out, hey, the jury was given enough doubt by the defense where they could come back. But the most shocking thing to me was 8 months of a trial, 8 months of testimony, evidence, et cetera, and they were only there deliberating for 4 hours.
Yeah, that tells you everything, huh?
Because when they started the deliberations, people would recall, and there's so much stuff on the internet you can read. When they went into deliberations, they had the verdict that day. It was delayed to the following day. So, the sources and reports and all that, TV or whatever, agencies could get ready for the verdict.
Yeah.
But they had the decision that day, 4 hours. You think somebody wanted to get the last bus home?
Yeah. DJ, always good hearing from you. Thanks for the call. Oh, it is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Also heard on 1450 AM and online at WPGTalkRadio.com. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
The finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere? Check. Award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets? Check. Baked goods and prepared foods? Check. They check all the boxes. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And that's not all. Gourmet items, specialty foods, and catering for all occasions. It's all right there. Check them out online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. For this afternoon, windy with episodes of sunshine. Should be a good show. High 63. Breezy this evening. Clear with low dipping to 44. Breezy warmer tomorrow with sun followed by increasing clouds. High up to 74. A thunderstorm in spots tomorrow night into Monday. Going to be warmer with clouds then sunshine. High up to 80. I'm AccuWeather's Ruth O'Brien on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
And we are back here on Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And you can also listen to us at any time, anywhere, as long as you have a device. Just Google John DeMasi Podcasts, and all the shows come up, over 200 shows. It's really a fascinating invention, radio on demand. Check it out. Andy's back in Brigantine. Andy, good morning. Welcome back.
Yeah, John, I didn't get a chance to talk about the OJ. Did you get the text I sent you about what Mark Lamont Hill said, Professor Mark Lamont Hill?
Yes, I did, and I read it on the air.
Oh, you did read it. Okay. All right. So, well, because, Bob from Cape May had made a comment that that the African-American community believed that OJ was innocent. I would say no. I think they knew he was guilty, but they wanted to see him get off just because they felt that so many black men had been improperly prosecuted and jailed over the years that this was kind of payback. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't believe that they believe that he was innocent. I think I would think most of them felt that he was guilty, but that for the reasons I mentioned. So Robert Shapiro, one of the attorneys, he had said that you mentioned the race card that Johnny Cochran played. I don't know if anybody mentioned this. Robert Shapiro said that he played the race card and he played it from the bottom of the deck.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he did.
Now, as far as justice for OJ, I don't know if he's getting justice now. I'm sure he is, but the real justice for him would have been maybe the chair or lethal injection or something like that. But he got to live. He got to live not older, but he got to live 30 more years. Where he deprived the other two of all of those years.
Yeah.
And he deprived those children of their mother. So, I guess you'd like to be a fly on the wall when he crossed over, huh?
Yeah. Oh boy, would I?
Yeah. But I'm glad you read that from Mark Lamont Hill. In case I'm going to read it again because people may not have been listening at that time. So Mark Lamont Hill, I don't know if you remember him, John. He used to be on O'Reilly's show a lot.
Yes,
I
do.
Show.
I do remember him, yeah.
Young black professor. And he said that O.J. Simpson was an abusive liar who abandoned his community long before he killed two people in cold blood. His acquittal for murder was the correct and necessary result of a racist criminal legal system. But he's still a monster, not a martyr.
That's right.
So he didn't defend O.J., but what he did was he said that even though he was guilty, it was a good thing he got off because it's a racist criminal justice system, So there's a reason that there's a disproportionate percentage of black men who are caught up in the legal system, and that's because unfortunately it's a disproportionate percentage of the crime in this country is committed by young black men. So it isn't about racism. I wish you could get a guest on. Her name is Heather McDonald. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
Yes.
Heather McDonald. Yeah, Heather McDonald has written broadly about this stuff and specifically about this kind of stuff. And all the statistics that are the government's own statistics. Do you know, John, in New York City, blacks make up 22% of the population, yet they commit 70% of the crimes in New York City. 22% of the population committing 70% of the crime. And if you, the shootings in New York City. And if you add in Hispanics to that mix, they commit virtually all of the shootings in New York City. So it's being done by African Americans and Hispanics. Virtually 100% of the shootings in New York City are being committed by those two groups, even though they make up a fraction of the population there. So if there seems to be a disproportionate percentage of them who are caught up in the legal system, who are incarcerated, it's because they are committing a disproportionate percentage of the crime. It has nothing to do with racism.
That's right. But yet people will say, oh, well, it's a racist system. Because
that's the narrative. The narrative is that every morning white cops wake up with one goal, and that is to kill black men.
Yes.
But the statistics show that a white police officer is 18 times more likely to be shot by a black perp than the other way around. And it's also a fact that in 99% of police interactions in this country, listen to me, John, 99% of police interactions with the public in this country are uneventful. That means there's no violence. A gun is never drawn. They end with, excuse me, sir, a traffic ticket or whatever the case, and then the people go on their way. 99% of the time, the police interactions with the public are uneventful. And it is the 1% that get all of the notoriety and all the press coverage. Why, John? Because they are rare. It's the same reason that the media don't cover safe plane landings.
Yes.
Because they happen most of the time.
Yeah.
The plane crash is rare, and that's why they beat you over the head with it when it happens.
Yeah, that's right. Andy, as always, thanks for the call. Good stuff. Yeah, back to this O.J. Simpson thing. And I said this at the beginning of the show. O.J. Simpson was a white man in a black body. It was just obvious. And I read several books on this because at the time I was fascinated by this because I believed that he did it. He just exuded white. I mean, everything about him, all of his friends and all of the associations, he looked down on blacks. And the ironic thing about the trial was that it became, well, now it's convenient to be black. Oh, I'm going to be black now. And he got off. Just incredible. 609-407-1450. Got a couple minutes left of the program and time for one or two more quick calls if you would like to chime in here. We asked this survey and we got one call who said no. Should illegals be allowed to collect Social Security? What do you think? And I said no, and Greg said no. I mean, to me, it's obvious. Should they? That's the question. 609-407-1450. That's the number here in the studio. We were talking about Bob Menendez, and not only is he going to have separate trials, his wife is going to be having surgery, so she's not going to be available, but he's going to go first. They don't want the jurors in their trial. They don't want the jurors to learn about the power couple's luxurious lifestyle. Oh, isn't that a shame? Their luxurious lifestyle includes cigars, handbags, and jewelry. Well, I mean, Doesn't everybody have those things? Yeah, right. How about the gold bars and the desiring the wife got a Mercedes-Benz from one of their benefactors. One of the lawyers for Menendez said there was no yacht or vacation home that was draining Senator Menendez's finances. He lived well within his means as a federal government employee. Now, I don't know about you, but even if I made $150,000 a year, which I don't, could I afford all those things, all those luxuries? Their charges are bribery, fraud, extortion, obstruction, and acting as a foreign agent of Europe. And the wife has also been charged, along with two businessmen. They all pleaded not guilty. This is going to be a messy trial. And, you can't have the gold bars in there? Really? I mean, we don't want to talk about gold bars because everybody has gold bars in their home, don't they? Right. I got to go home and look for mine. I don't know where I put them. Oh, it's just really unbelievable. And I'm glad that he's not running in the primary. Whether he runs in the general election, we'll see. But I hope not. Bob Menendez going to trial in very soon, and he and his wife will be tried separately. Speaking of politics, I was very pleased the other night. Seth Grossman's birthday party was at the Great Bay Country Club, and in the room next door was the Atlantic County Republican Women's Club. And as a guest of honor was Jack Ciattarelli, who announced this week that he is running again for governor. And I came up to him and I said, Jack, nice to see you again. And he said, I remember you. Yeah, oh, thank you and all of that. I said, well, you'll be on again. And he will. Definitely be on again. Jack Ciattarelli running for the Republican nomination for governor, and I'm sure he will get the nomination. And he almost won last time. But this time I think he's going to win, barring any strong Democrat who is going to run against him. But that remains to be seen what will happen. So we have a lot to talk about next week here on the show, and of course we'll continue to follow Trump and the issue of abortion and whether it's going to become an issue. The Democrats are going to make it an issue. They are already making an issue, and I want you to watch out for this TV commercial. This commercial, which is Biden saying Donald Trump did this, and the woman who was she was miscarried, but she couldn't get the proper treatment because they outlawed abortions, and she would have had to force an abortion, and they wouldn't give it to her, and then she got an infection, and this whole thing snowballed into a really difficult medical situation. She almost died. And what do you think the bottom line on this commercial was? They blamed Donald Trump. Can you imagine blaming Donald Trump? Blame Trump for the weather, blame Trump for this, blame Trump for that. But this, they tried to connect the dots, but this really wasn't Trump's fault. It was just a situation where certain things fell, and it happened to be that this woman got an infection. I think she got sepsis. Boy, so watch for it. I'm sure you're going to see it. It's going to play all over, and they're going to really ride with this. And Biden also has a commercial saying Donald Trump doesn't trust women. I mean, it just goes to show you that they'll do anything to put down Trump. They'll blame him for lies. They'll blame him for this. They'll blame him for that. They'll blame him for everything. And they blame them for this. It's really, really incredible. But it will continue, and we will continue to monitor the Trump, and that's the thing. They've got to get this thing. They've got to get all of the things that Biden has done, and really, they haven't really done that yet. And I don't know why. We'll see. Next week, Denny Levinson on the show, and we'll talk to the Atlantic County executive about a variety of things. A tax relief, which Denny always comes through with that. And we'll talk about the pilot program, and we'll talk about a lot of things related to what's happening in Atlantic County with Atlantic County Executive Denny Levinson. That's going to put the wraps on another edition of Talk with a Purpose. Yes. That is going to put the wraps on another edition. Thanks to Chris Coleman, our program director and producer. Thanks to you. Without you, the callers, we don't have a show. It's that simple. I'm John DeMasi. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next Saturday, 9 till noon. Talk with a Purpose right here on WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You take care.
The preceding program was paid for and presented by John DeMasi.